Howdy folks, welcome aboard the channel. I'm Don. This is Rockin' a Country in our 8th year of non-pop country music reactions. And Kyle Perkins made a gift to the channel for me to do this one of Dolly's, Starting Over Again. So Kyle, thank you for this gift. I don't know the song as far as I know, unless someone else covered it or what have you, but I didn't grow up on country. So if you're new to the channel, virtually all of the songs that I'm reacting to are brand new to me. And I'm all in on traditional country and non-pop country. I don't like pop music really of any kind, let alone pop country when traditional country is available. Like, I don't understand even how there's a choice. But hey, everybody's got their thing. So let's get into it. I'm going to find out what this one's all about. Kyle's got very good taste in country music. So we're going to find it, and obviously when you're going to do Dolly, you're going to wind up feeling good at the end of the song. Even if it's a sad song, Dolly just has this way of, I don't know, maybe you just call it spirit or something. There's something she imparts just by beholding her talking or hearing her sing or what have you. Ah, there you go, the piano. You know what that means.
Mama moved out, Daddy sold the house. They split up the money and went on their way. And all the king's horses and all the king's men
Nice.
couldn't put Mommy and Daddy back together again.
The Humpty Dumpty story.
Starting over again. Where should they begin? 'Cause they've never been out on their own. Starting over again. Where do you begin?
Yep.
When your dreams are all shattered and the kids are all grown and the whole world cries.
I've never heard a song written from this perspective. We hear songs written about breakups all the time. I react to bunches of them. They're just everywhere out there in all genres about breakups and me starting over. But you don't hear it written from this perspective of what's it like for the parents when they're older to split and move on. That's very real. That's what happens in many divorces too. That's the truer aspect, the fuller aspect of divorce. I like this third person perspective of looking at what it's like for someone else to get divorced. But this is the offspring of the parents. And my parents got divorced when I was a teenager. And so like this, I'm going to see where it goes to see how much of it I can relate to. But so far, I get it.
Got an apartment. She moved in with her sisters. He's scheming big deals with one of his friends, while she sits at home just sorting out pieces of leftover memories from 30-odd years. Starting over again. Where do you begin when you've never been out on your own?
Yeah, it's frightening.
Starting over again. Never any end. What will the neighbors say?
It's embarrassing.
They're talking talk, it's small town news. Facing 50 years old, making up
purpose for
king's
you.
horses and all the king's men could never put mommy and daddy back together. Back together again.
They could, but the King's men didn't want it back together again. Mom and Dad didn't want it. Yeah, that one line in there too about the neighbors talking and all that stuff. They're not talking negatively per se. I was surprised when I went through my divorce. It was embarrassing. I didn't believe in it. I didn't want it. It wasn't my decision. And you have the sense of failure. There's an incredible sense of failure. And you don't want people to know, but inevitably people are going to know. And you hope to work it out, but when it doesn't and you realize it's not going to work out, and then the cat's out of the bag a bit, then people find out you're splitting and all that, and that's what they want to talk with you about. Not because they like salacious or nasty details or anything like that, but because it's a different way of looking at you. Now it's just you, not you and your spouse. And it is embarrassing. But the amount of support that you get from people, that's what I found going through mine, that people were just, by and large, just very kind, trying to be supportive and non-judgmental of me or my ex, and all that, just there. And I was like, wow, like my life doesn't end socially because of the split. It changed, and it changes for people. But when you are in your 50s, like that one line in the song it wasn't just about like the death of dreams and hopes and things that you've built and all that stuff. It was like, what do I do now? And that is like, as a life coach, or I prefer to call it a situation coach, because when people are going through a difficult situation, and divorce is the primary one, sometimes it's not getting along with a kid, sometimes it's change of career, sometimes it's just overall despondency about life. What does it mean? Trying to find purpose, a life philosophy, those things. And that's my wheelhouse right there. But what goes on at those points in life is there are three primary things that you are concerned about. Where am I going to live? Where am I going to work? And do I want to be with someone again? Will I find another person? And those three things can take time. Now, some folks already have an occupation, so that's already taken care of. But like in the song said in the beginning, mom moved into an apartment with her sister and dad sold the house. And so they both had to decide, where are they going to live? Now, mom isn't going to stay with her sister forever, so she's got to go somewhere too. But where, when, with whom, if anybody? And dad sold the house. He had to move somewhere. Now, what were his considerations? You got kids. You don't want to move too far away from them unless you're a jackass and don't have real feelings for your kids, or that you're more invested in yourself than others. Then you might decide to move cross country, and it doesn't matter, whatever. And I know people who have done that, and then they regretted it and ultimately moved back, generally. More often than not. But where are you going to live? And are you going to do it with somebody? Do you want to be with somebody while you are going through the incredible long suffering of divorce? And it is long. You don't get over it like that. That's just not one of those things. Divorce is always rated or ranked or described by psychologists, sociologists, social psychologists, these folks, as being the second most painful event in a person's life, right behind the death of a child. And that may seem counterintuitive, but divorce goes on for so long, even in a less than nasty divorce, let's put it that way. There are no friendly divorces, really, because it's just too painful. You have this not only sense of loneliness, but you are wondering, do I even want to risk going through this kind of pain again with somebody else? And for a while, it's smart to say, no, I don't, because that gives you a chance to sort of recover, to take personal inventory, to process what took place, what was your part in it, what was the other person's part, what was neither part, it was just a chemistry thing, what were my intolerances, what were the things I said or didn't say at different times that I wasn't listening to, when I was being called out on it, and so on. What are some of the things I could have said or done differently? Or better, would that have stopped it from breaking up? But, all those things that you go through, then you're like, well, do I even want to risk it? How do I know I could trust somebody? We had a life together and that broke. And experience is our greatest teacher, but it's also our greatest fear producer. And is that proper? Probably. Something we are wired for pain avoidance, for suffering avoidance in our lives. For the most part, we are. And we'll do whatever it takes to avoid pain more than seek gain. And even economists know this. For example, like with people on the pain avoidance scale, I'll put it to you in numeric terms. Let's say you've got $100 in your wallet or pocketbook, and based on the flip of a coin, if you get it wrong, you lose the $100 in your pocket, right? So now you've got nothing. But if you're right, I'll give you $200 on top of the 100. So you'll wind up with $300 in your pocket. And it's a 50-50 chance. So in a 50-50 chance, you're either going to lose 100 if you're wrong, or you're going to gain 200 if you're right. Now, any economist or financier or whatever would by and large say, I'm on paper, absolutely, I'm taking that. But in reality, if somebody comes up to you in the supermarket and says, hey, you want to take this bet or wherever, most people will say no. Now, that is illogical. It's not irrational in economic terms, but it's illogical. You should take that bet. It does make sense. But we are wired for pain avoidance more than for gain attainment. Bring that mindset into a marriage, and we are fairly consistent in this. We're wired for pain avoidance. If we just experience or are still experiencing the hangover from the pain of a divorce, we're seriously going to question and move very cautiously into another relationship. And as much as we are wired for social interaction with people, and we're social creatures, we humans, we move very cautiously into another relationship, if at all. And some people don't. They don't get over it. And fair enough. I mean, not everybody wants to take that risk of suffering that kind of pain again. And it's harder. When you're in your 50s, your considerations of being with another person are very different than when you're in your 20s. In your 20s, you're looking to start a life with somebody. You're looking to start a family, a career, and just go on this journey of life, and then ultimate retirement and accomplishment and travel and going through that. Then it all falls apart and you're in your 50s. And then if you start dating again, which most people do, say you're in your 40s or 50s, most divorces I think happen in the 40s, in people's 40s, and about 70% of women are the ones who file for divorce. And then in your 50s, now you find yourself dating, but your considerations are very different. And most people aren't aware of this part of it because we go back to our default setting of starting a life with somebody, living a new life. But your considerations are different. You're not looking for somebody who's going to have kids with you in your 50s, generally speaking. And now you're not looking at who you're going to start your life with. You're looking at who you're going to end your life with. Because when you're in your 50s, you've got average-wise 25 to 30 years left. And they're not the best years. You're going to have health issues in those years. So now you're looking at, all right, who do I want to end life with on some hardship terms? Whereas you're not thinking that way in your 20s. You're thinking, wow, this chick is hot. She's beautiful. I can't wait to be with her. And the girl might be thinking the exact same thing about him. And he's a good provider. And we're going to have kids. And it's happy and all this. You're thinking this way. Experience teaches you It's not that way necessarily. There are going to be hardships and things you just have to endure, tolerate, or not give a crap about. Just don't make a deal about it. And you learn that. Or some folks go in the opposite direction and they become way more intolerant. Like, I am not putting up with anything now. I put up with too much in the last and that's a recipe for disaster. And they will not be a good person to date. They will, if they get remarried, they will get divorced a second time. And that's just life. So, all right, look at me, Kyle. Look what you just did. Did you know this was good? I'm putting this in the premarital counseling playlist too, by the way. Maybe you knew this was going to get me going, but this is my wheelhouse. This is what I do for a living. Other than the YouTube channel, this is what I do. So I'm going to rate this song the way Dolly sang it. This isn't Dolly's story, so this isn't autobiographical. Somebody else wrote this, and I'm glad Dolly sang it. You know, the number that popped into my head on this was a 9.0. I mean, I thought instrumentally they could have done a lot more with it. But the truth in this, the angle that this came from is my parents got divorced. How did they start over? I'm not angry at them. That wasn't the angle the songwriter came at this from. It was compassionate. And that's Dolly's the ideal person to sing a compassionate song because she's just loaded with it and kindness. That's what you think of when you think of Dolly. And she was the ideal one to think of it. But it was a nice, refreshing perspective. And the instrumentation was just okay. But the storyline was what this was about. So thank you again, Kyle. There you go. From me to you guys, there's a little bit of situation coaching that came flowing out. Have a great day. I'll see you on another video and keep rocking the country.